We'll start the next panel of discussion, the changing trends in the contemporary theatre. In this panel, we have with us Sri Mahesh Dattani, Sri Satyabrata Raut, Dr. Satya Mahanti, and Sri Samanjasa Das. I request our esteemed guests to please come to the dais. I request Sri Mahesh Dattani to be with us. I request Sri Satyabrata Raut, Dr. Satya Mahanti, and Sri Samanjasa Das. Please come. Samanjasa Das inherits his literary outlook from his late father Biswajit Das, who was a noted Odia playwright and a recipient of Odisha Sangita Nataka Academy Award. Holder of a postgraduate degree in economics, Sri Das joined the Indian Revenue Service in 1990. He was conferred with the prestigious Presidential Certificate of Appreciation for Distinguished Record of Service on the eve of Republic Day 2006 for his outstanding contribution in the field of fiscal and narcotics law enforcement. He is currently serving as the Chief Commissioner of Delhi Customs Zone. Besides reading and writing, Das takes a keen interest in music, cooking, and animal welfare. As you know, he is the son of Sri Biswajit Das, and he has translated his play Mrugaya, which will be inaugurated today. And with us, Dr. Satyabrata Raut. Professor Satyabrata Raut is known for pioneering visual theatre in India. He has specialized on scenography and direction from various institutions across the globe, including National School of Drama, New Delhi. Professor Raut has done PhD and DLit on new direction theories and has been honored with several international recognitions, including the Sangeet Nataka Academy Award, Oxford Art Book Award, etc. An outstanding academics, he has written plays and academic books that include Scenography and Indian Perspective and Tumhara Vincent, etc. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming to this session. And this is Mrugaya, written by Biswajit Das, eminent playwright of Odisha. Now I request Manu Babu to speak a few words.
मोर बंधु परेश बाबू तो अलरेडी कही सारे आपण मानू जे मृगयार प्रथित जसा नाट्यकार विश्वजित दास जे आम गण नहांती किंतु तांको नाटक अच्छी खूब कम नाटक लिखी ओडिया साहित्य रे गोटे आधुनिकतार वातावरण प्रथमे आनिबाकू जे चेष्टा करथिले से होचंती विश्वजित दास। 1908 दशक रे ओडिया नाटक भितर गोटे आंदोलन आसीथिला नवनाट्य आंदोलन तार जे अयमारंभ करथिले आज शुणिले आपण माने आश्चर्य हेबे तांकर जे आगुआल जे थिले लीडर से मध्य आज आम गहणार अछंती श्री अनंत महापात्र, मनोरंजन दास, विजय मिश्र एवं विश्वजित दास ये तीन जन होचंती ओडिया नाटकर त्रिमूर्ति। कौनसी उत्तर आधुनिक नाटक समय रे आलोचना कला बेले ये तीन जन को ना नदेले आपण आलोचना अपूर्ण रही। आमे आमर गोटे छोटिया प्रकाशन संस्था अच्छी ता नाम धौली बुक्स। मु श्री विश्वजित दास सुयोग्य पुत्र श्री समंजस दास सहित अनेक वर्ष है चेष्टा करुली जोगाजोग करने जितेबाला संभव है मुझे अनुरोध कली से निजे ताको ट्रांसलेट कले एवं आज शेष आमे से बही इंग्राजी रे ओडिशा बाहर को नवापाई सुजोग पाइलु से मु समंजस बाबू पाखे कृतज्ञ। ओडिया नाटक खूब बेसी बाहर आलोचना हुए नहीं। आपण खूब बेसी रे मनोरंजन बाबूकर किसी बही विषय शुणवे बादल सरकार, गिरीश कर्नाड, विजय तेंदुलकर, मोहन राकेश जो चारिजण को भारतीय नाटकर स्तंभ बोली कह जाए ସେମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରୁ ଅଧିକାଂଶ ଜାଣନ୍ତି ନାହିଁ ବିଶ୍ୱଜିତ ଦାସ ମଧ୍ୟ ତାଙ୍କ ସ୍ତରର ଜଣେ ଲେଖକ। କିନ୍ତୁ ଦୁର୍ଭାଗ୍ୟର ବିଷୟ, ଅନୁବାଦର ଅଭାବରୁ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ତାର ନ୍ୟାଯ୍ୟ ଦାବି ପାଇବାରେ ବଞ୍ଚିତ ହୋଇଛି ସବୁବେଳେ। ଏହା ଆମର ପ୍ରଥମ ପଦକ୍ଷେପ। ମୁଁ ଆଶା କରୁଛି ଆପଣମାନେ ଏ ବହି ପଢ଼ିବେ ଏବଂ ଏ ସମ୍ପର୍କରେ ଆଲୋଚନା କରିବେ ଏବଂ ଭାରତ ବାହାରେ ଏ ବହି, ଭାରତର ଓଡ଼ିଶାର ଅନ୍ୟ ପ୍ରଦେଶରେ ଏ ବହି ସମ୍ପର୍କରେ ଲୋକେ ଆଲୋଚନା କରିବେ, ଏ ମୋର ପୂର୍ଣ୍ଣ ବିଶ୍ୱାସ ରହିଛି। ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ।
Thank you, Manu Babu. I request Sri Samanjas Das to speak few words on this translation and the book, The Haunt.
Dignitaries on the dais, eminent literary stalwarts, ardent lovers of literature. When Manu Babu asked me to come and be a part of this celebration, I have been mulling since then. The question that arose in my mind, do I really belong here? I am a student of economics and law by education. I am a bureaucrat by profession, and if I may say so, a writer by accident. Having accepted the invitation, before I come to the changing trends in contemporary drama, I'd like to quote a couple of very famous literary figures. As everybody said, today's theme is war and literature. War and peace, they go in cycles. If there was no war, perhaps we wouldn't have appreciated peace. And if there was no peace, perhaps we wouldn't have been so scared, so afraid of war. So it's my take that they go hand in hand, they go in cycle. In this context, I'd like to quote a couple of lines by the famous playwright Eugene Gladstone O'Neill. He said, "Man is born broken. He lives by mending. And the grace of God is the glue." How do, in the changing face of the world of entertainment, how do we keep theatre alive? By appreciating good literary work, by praising the eminent literary personalities, and above all, by being passionate about literature. Let's all resolve to praise and appreciate the work done by the famous literary personalities during their lifetime. Here I would like to quote a couple of lines, Henry Austin Dobson, his poem, Fame. He said, "Fame is a food that dead man eats. I have no stomach for such food. Narrow rooms and little light, they eat in the silence of the tomb." So let us praise and applaud the great literary work done by eminent personalities here and elsewhere. That's the only way we can keep theatre alive in this changing phase of world of entertainment. Now coming to Mrugaya, my father tried to sum up human mind by saying that through this play he has attempted to say that darkness is the essence of life. and he has tried to bring into sharp focus the ever-increasing gap between the human want, human desires, human hopes, aspirations, and what human beings actually achieve, actually get. There is a huge gap, and that gap keeps on increasing. And hence, the hunt to attain that ultimate happiness, ultimate accomplishment, ultimate achievement. In Mruga, there are three central principal characters or protagonists: the father, son, and a daughter. There are four, if I may say so, theatrical catalysts. Catalysts because by their actions and omissions, they evoke certain emotions, sentiments in these central characters. Three central protagonists of the play. There are four other, if I may say so, secondary catalysts. In all, there are 11 characters in this play. I have ended my play with the catch line that the Mrugaya, the play ends here, but Mrugaya, the life will continue perhaps forever. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now the panel discussion will continue. That is the changing trends in the contemporary theatre. I request Dr. Satyabrata Raut to moderate the panel discussion.
Good morning, friends. The topic which we will discuss now is contemporary trend in Indian theatre. We have four people here. We will share our thoughts and ideas. We can put our own hypothesis into it, and we can discuss a little about our past history and our present way of working and what will be in future. So accordingly, I request Mahesh Dattani sir to give a brief introduction, then we will continue with that.
Yeah, a brief introduction is the most difficult thing to do. I'm just going to sort of put some thoughts out there which we can all discuss. That I think if we're looking at changes, we could look at two components of drama. One is the ideas that are explored in dramatic content and how have they changed, if at all. And the other is the aesthetics of drama and how have they changed as well. So I think we're all in a good place to discuss both the ideas and the content. And in my opinion, I think where the ideas have changed is initially, if you look at the classic idea of the failure of man against destiny. Right, if you look at the epics, if you look at the Ramayana and Mahabharata, it was a failure of man as opposed to his destiny. And then I think the ideas transformed to the failure of society more than destiny. The failure of society to support man. And maybe we're going towards the failure of man now. These are the ideas that I see explored in a lot of new work that is being done. In terms of content, in terms of form, I think, again, I don't know whether it's old or new. I mean, the kind of theatre that you do, I've seen it, that we talk about scenography, which 10 years ago people didn't even know what scenography was. And you look at dramaturgy as well. That the aesthetics have shifted the focus from this sort of well-formed, closed text that then comes to the director, and the director has well-formed ideas and visions that are closed, and then it comes to the actor, and the actor executes them and prepares for that final interaction between performer and audience. But now, I don't know, I think that the well-formed, the structure, we're more in a post-structural kind of world. So even this bottle of water can be the author of a play, is that a group of actors and a director and maybe writers come together and begin with this bottle of water on stage and then expand it to mean different things. So as an American theater practitioner whose company I had the privilege of working with at some point, Anne Bogart, she said that in the post-structural theater world, the hierarchy of theater has crumbled. The hierarchy being you had the text, which was on top. The kavi or the kavya was the most important thing in classical theater. Everything was about the interpretation of this text. And then you had the director, then you had the actor, then you had the designers, and then the production team, so on and so forth. So Anne says that this hierarchy has crumbled in the post-structural world of theater, that the author, the creator of the text could be a piece of fabric. It could come from a costume, or it could come from an actor who does an action on stage, or the director could come up with an idea or a proposition which could then get explored. So I think these are very interesting and exciting possibilities. And I think theater, the irony is that theater has always been against hegemony and any kind of hierarchy. Even if you look at the failure of society as an idea, we talked about patriarchy and etc. But the fact is that theater as a practice contained some of those hierarchies as well. So I think it's perfectly legitimate that in the post-structural world, that hierarchy also crumbles in some way. Anyway, these are just thoughts which I hope get explored in our discussion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Just to give my opinion about the changing trend in Indian theatre, let me make it very clear. I am not a playwright. I write plays for myself. Because I feel the necessity of creating something which I sometimes I found from other playwrights, structural productions, or even to defragmenting very well-made plays into creating something new, or writing for my own. That way I work. And I am a hardcore theatre practitioner, practicing contemporary Indian theatre for the last 40 years after my training. And in that long span of working with different theatre directors, authors across the globe, I found in Indian theatre has a great possibility. If we compare to other parts of the globe, European theatre or American theatre or Spanish theatre, in that context, if we draw a comparative study, we can see in the post-colonial, I mean post-independent Indian theatre we have diversity, we have lots of diversity because of our language. We have different languages. In India we speak maybe more than 100 languages. Sometimes we call it boli or expressions. And written languages are also, there are many. People in Tamil cannot understand Odia, and Odia cannot understand Marathi or Gujarati. So different state has their own theatre, and even in one state, we have different bolis, dialects, local languages. So like for example, in my state, we have Sambalpuri, we have Barampuri language, we have Katki language. Even in my own place where I live, Jaspur, we have Jajpuri Bhasha, which is different from Baleshwar. So in that way, that we found in our folk tradition. And we have lots of folk traditions. The thing is that after British left India, we look into our traditional heritage, our cultural heritage. And if we see in those days, in 1960s or 70s productions, are different from what we are working in today's context. If we see in Dharmavir Bharati, one of the greatest Indian playwrights, play Andha Yug, or The Blind Days, that talks about Mahabharata war. It's a symbolic, the war is a symbol, symbolically present about the turmoil condition of the country. But there, the characters are taken from our mythological backdrop, from Mahabharata character. But from that, if we slowly look into, slowly pass on, with the time, we found in Girish Karnad's play, Tughlaq, it's a historical play. And just after that, Girish Karnad has written one more play, that is Hayabadana, entirely different from his earlier plays, because you see how human mind becomes complex. And after that, his other plays like Nagamandala. And slowly, if we come down till Mahesh Dattari's productions, Final Solution, or even 30 Days in September, typical social issues, our personal life is being reflected in the plays, which was not there in the past. That is why the trend of directing plays has been changed. So new school, new ideology, new thoughts has incorporated into Indian theatre. And the way we look into Shakespeare in India, if we present Shakespeare, we look into Shakespeare, is different than a person who is looking into Shakespeare in Europe or America. I can give a very one example, burning example of my personal life. I did Shakespeare in 2016 with one Bombay theatre group, AGP World. We did Shakespeare, I mixed two productions of Shakespeare into one and name it Wraith, the Songs of the Sand. So in that particular play, I mixed Macbeth with Merchant of Venice and weaved the tale with a Rajasthani folk tale. Rajasthan mein, they sell water and they lend money. And the character, the Silog, the central character of the play, I changed into a woman. Because in Rajasthani folk, Rajasthani local tradition, I have seen that ladies, they lend money. Ladies, they become landlady. So in that way, when I did this production and I presented a paper, Silog in a female body. That was in Grand Valley University, State University in USA. When I presented a paper on their Shakespeare festival, I went there. And there are lots of questions comes to me. How dare you defragment Shakespeare? Shakespeare is a towering personality for them, for European in society and theatre. It's very difficult to change even the word of the writer. And here what I did, I weaved that into an Indian folktale, two Shakespeare's plays. Three witches of Macbeth became the narrator of my production in this story, in the Wraith, the sand. There are lots of Rajasthani songs and everything was there, and folk elements has been used. Then the question came from the audience gallery that Shakespeare in Europe, if we present Shakespeare, Shakespeare is known for text-based drama, where text. But what I did in my production, text became secondary. The image and the visuals, the metaphor, that becomes the primary elements of the production. Then the question arises, why you changed it? What is it essential to change Shakespeare into an Indian context? The question was very relevant, but here the answer was that I am not a European or an American person looking into Shakespeare with that sensibility. I born and brought up in my own state where we have hundreds of forms. I start my life with dancing, singing, and that way we brought up in this society, and that is our way of life. So that is the expression which I found. in our Indian folk, Indian traditional songs, Indian village farmer songs, if a farmer is singing a song while plowing the field, I can see the vast landscapes and the rivers. It has been visible in my imagination. So, so that is the strength of Indian theatre. So that way, I answered them, because second thing is that it's also political. It's also political because without politics, theatre is impossible. We may not be we may not practice politics, but without politics, how can I, even my taking breath in this world is totally political. So much of poison I am taking in taking every day, and adulteration, food, and all these things are, so that way Indians has been tortured by the British. That was my answer to that. Indians has been tortured by the British rule over 250 years. So that is why this is another reaction, political reaction from my side to fragment Shakespeare. So that way we generally work in Indian theatre. Contemporary Indian theatre is now coming out of the set narrative into more improvisation, more, as Mohesh sir said, that a bottle can become a content, a subject for a theatre. So a new trend has entered into Indian theatre, that is decentered playwriting. Decentered playwriting, we all know that playwriting, as a hierarchy, playwright writes plays, then it is handed over to a director, and it is then the director reconceive it, and again it is a group of actors, they present the play. So that is why in ancient time, or in traditional term, conventional term, theatre is called dvija. Dvija means second birth, two birth, like a bird. First in the form of egg, then the bird from that egg. So two birth, theatre has taken, conventional theatre has taken two birth always. One through the playwright and another through a group of actors or a team. So that way, but now the trend has changed. For the last 10 years or 15 years, what we are working nowadays, it's totally collaborative work. The playwright is no authority now. Everybody, the actor, the playwright, the actor, the director, the scenographers, the designers, the musicians, all sit together and democratically we develop an idea. Maybe anybody can throw an idea on the floor, and then we take over it, and in that way we do the productions. Very recently, one of my production, I did a play, Tumhara Vincent. It's about the life and work of Vincent van Gogh. So that in that particular production, we sit together at one place. We did it a residential kind of thing, and my playwright, I am the playwright, I became the playwright, and my actors, the designers, technicians, we all stay. We stay at one place, we eat there, we cook food, and we develop a play. It's not writing a play, it's creating a building, a house from it by it, from step by step. And it took 2 months, and the production was completely different. Many times we shattered. We have, dimag kharab karne wali situations sometimes happens. There are lots of fighting also, and ultimately the play, what came out, is completely different than taking a ready-made play and doing it in the productions. So in that way, I am winding it up. So, sir, if you have some...
Again, in the midst of such eminent literary stalwarts, I consider myself a marginal outlier. I'll be the first person to admit that I don't possess such deep insight into neither literature in general nor theatre in particular. In my limited preparation for this event, I did try to chart out the evolution of Odia theatre. I don't know whether I am factually correct or not, and I stand to be corrected. But it's believed that a theatre enacted in 1872 by a Catholic missionary school in Cuttack was the genesis of Odia theatre. The plays by Ramashankar Ray's Kanchi Kaveri, Jagmohan Lala's Babaji, and Paricha's Gopinath Vallabh, all in 80s. So what I have observed that Odia theatre can be, the travel or the journey of Odia theatre can be broadly divided into three phases. One is 1880 to, let's say, 1940, which is the era of traditional indigenous Lokanatya or Jatra, a huge troupe of opera with a complement of actors, singers, technicians, makeup personnel traveling from one place to another throughout the year, performing at various places, mostly based on Rasa, Leela. And then the next phase is, say, from 1940 to 1960. I would prefer to call it the era of modern Odia theatre, which saw that theatre broke the confines of traditional indigenous jatra and began to embrace the contemporary themes, social, economic, political, ethical, legal themes, and try to build plays on that. And in that era, the theatres of the era, in that era, had a reflection of freedom struggle. We must try and do our best to keep this form of entertainment alive and bring back the lost glory. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, giving a retrospective of Odia theatre. Now, Satya, sir, please.
I'll be brief. I was a little surprised that when I've been catapulted into this panel, because my claim to fame is that I have written only 3 plays which happen to be published. That doesn't mean that I'm a theatre person. But I entirely agree with what Mr. Dattani said, how the trends are changing with regard to placement of the human in the entire paradigm. It is, I agree that man is at fault. That is gaining preeminence, and not so much as fate, because fate is not a character any longer, number one. And it is Shakespeare apparently who said that fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. Okay? And one thing, I've got 2 questions in my mind on which, 2 ideas in my mind on which I would require confirmation from heavyweights on the stage. And I have got a question. That is my entire thing. So number 1, there is a quaint little story in Bharata's Natya Shastra that Devatas were putting up a play which the Asuras didn't like. So they jumped onto the stage and thrust them up. Okay. Probably they didn't depict the Asuras very well. So then Mahadeva, Lord Shiva, appears there and says, no, this is the place where anything can be said, anyone but can be criticized, no offense can be taken. The perimeter is here. So what I find, my question will come later. From this thing I'll I'll take the question. Theatre is all about relativities. It is not about absolutes. That is my understanding. And the modern theatre makes a case for purity versus broad spectrum, and purity of strict template into flexibility and versus flexibility. While this is that, and the characters, the intolerance that every society is turning into, they don't tolerate any change in the script, how it will play out. Like, to give an example, Peter Brook's Mahabharata have got characters who are black Africans, who are Chinese, and someone can take offense that this is our scripture, this is our history, how can other characters come in? Okay, but diversity means that we are leading there. Okay, and the future trend is about diversity. It is going to be story about, because if it is a universal story, any character can step in and do it. That is number one. And to what extent the overbearing, surveillance-oriented society, to what extent it will encourage it? That is my question to Satyapat Babu and Mr. Dattani. Then the second thing is that theatre is increasingly becoming costly. There will be a niche audience for that. But will theatre move to people if people are not moving to the theatre? These are the two questions. I'll leave it with both of you. Thank you.
Sir, to one question, theatre is costlier affairs, as sir said that. I do not agree to that. Theatre, according to Grotowski, theatre can reject everything except three essential elements of theatre: actor, spectator, and a space. We do not need anything, even not audience. I call spectator, that means an actor who watch, an actor who perform. So it's a union between, so whether I go there or they come to us, there must be union. Then theatre is possible. It's not essential, lavish set, costumes, properties, complete, absolutely. I have rejected it in my practice. Yeah, traditional, theatre was that, like that, but slowly, according to the changing time, that has been refined.
They call it proscenium.
Proscenium theatre, yeah, proscenium is now, 60s, 70s, maybe. Okay, sir, you have anything?
No. Yes, I agree with you that theatre can be very, very inexpensive. And like you rightly said, you need the spectator, you need the performer, and you need a space for both of them to be together in the same space, in the same time. And just coming back to, I'm glad you raised that thing about the Devas and Asuras, that the sheer fact that the Asuras found something wrong in that and disrupted, that itself is theatre. That disruption is theatre. Today, maybe Puritans might be like the Asuras and might disrupt, and we've seen that a lot of plays get disrupted by right-wing parties because they find the ideas too uncomfortable to be explored. So there's theatre in that as well. So I think we're all in a good space, and I feel that, this whole thing about if you want new ideas, read old books, and if you want old ideas, read new books. So what is old, what is new? I think that there is a constant interplay between the old and the new. That's all I wanted to add.
Thank you, sir. With this, we are winding up this discussion. However, before winding up, I request audience for any question.
Maybe it's not a question, maybe it's an optimistic remark, that even though that you feel that everything is collapsing now and start a new way of theater, I think that there is something that is eternal and that is common to the writer, to the director, and to the actor, the passion to live another life. This what theater gives us, the opportunity to experiment new other life that we don't have to ourselves. Thank you for your discussion. It was amazing.
I just want to add just one line is that yes, it is the passion to lead another life. And the irony is that in leading the other life, we discover our own lives, I think.
No, this is a kind of maybe a question or a remark, I don't know. But basically, what I want to put spotlight on is that in theatre, and I take it from the point that you say it's here and now, which is very significant to me. But the same play can be performed many times, isn't it? But each performance, would you not say, is different? Because it is also a conversation with the spectator. And so, even if it is the same play, on the following evening, it becomes something else because the audience may be different. And you have become different also in your performance.
Yes, ma'am.
Or a remark, actually.
So, to answer a little to answer to your question, I just one thing came to click my mind. Abhigyan Shakuntalam is written in 5th century, so 1600 years before. It's about the love affairs of a king, a monarch, with a hermitage girl. But now when we present this play, if we look into, we keep that flavor, of course, that is our tradition. But the society has been changed drastically. So one experience I just want to share in 1 minute. I presented that play in Central Michigan University. And the actress who was doing Shakuntala, at the point when Shakuntala, his father, taught her how to lead a marital life, and when she was leaving to the, and when Dushyanta also rejected her, at that point she said that, why I obey my husband, in which way, and what honor I have when he rejected me, and after 12 years again she is coming to me and I will go with her happily and we live happily. What is happiness? After so much of rejection, abandonment, dishonoring, and why should I live with that man? And she said that no, I will not go with her. And she changed the entire script. Because as she told me in America, people they believe in self-respect. So then she said, one person who called me whore and left me abandoned, and how can you say that I will go with her? So it was a great learning lesson for me, and that made me theatre immediate. And we changed the script and we did it there. And in India also I wrote it again and presented that play in that way. Thank you.
Yeah, I had a question. Can I ask a question? Yeah, so my question goes back to your comment about the need for an actor, a spectator, and a space. So my question is, in today's digital age where we have so many other like YouTube and online media, is this spectator and the actor sharing the space really necessary? Or in fact, does it give you the option to expand your audience well beyond what you could usually with traditional theatre?
I think space comes at a premium even more so now when we have all these, when it is possible to sit in your bedroom and you have a whole palette of entertainment available literally at your fingertips. This kind of, now it was possible for Manu to have organized this on Zoom, right? You could sit in your living room, I could sit in my bedroom in Mumbai, and you could be busy with something. And so what? We're having a discussion. Why did you take the trouble to come here? Why did we take the trouble to catch flights and come here and be here at this appointed hour in this? There is something about an interaction. And I think even if you look at the physics of it, the fact that you do something or I do something, the vibration affects you in a way that a digital image won't. Something as basic as even if I'm doing this, I'm creating a vibration that actually reaches you right, that goes through you and expands, that goes into space. This, it's intangible. I mean, you can't really put, although it is quantum physics, there is an element of qualia to it, quality to it, which is intangible, but at the same time palpable. And that, to me, is the beauty of the spectator, performer, being in the same space at the same time.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we are lagging behind time, so we have to wind up this program here. So this panel discussion is closed here. This discussion, the changing trends in the contemporary theatre. I extend our heartfelt gratitude to all our guests for taking time to be a part of this festival. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank our sponsors, partners, organizers who have made this event possible. They are JM Baxi, NMDL, EVOS Buildcon, Indian Oil, Life Insurance Corporation of India, Steel Authority of India. Thank you all.